Good evening, every pony, and welcome to Commentary as Magic stream for today, June 17th, 2018. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
I'm Emperor Bugle.
Big cheese?
And, excuse me, I think you meant every creature?
No, I didn't.
Or cat
Specifically excluding changelings.
hissing.
Obligatory hissing. We are back this week after a, did we stream last week, or was that the week before? Everything just kind of blurs together at this point.
I
No,
don't
we
think we
kind
lost
of
you.
collapsed last week. Yeah, it was great.
I remember that collapse. It was good. It's needed every now and then. But we are back and revitalized. And thanks to the results of one of our patron polls, we were able to determine that people like decks. Go figure, right?
Really? I don't know why people would want to hear
I don't
about
like cards in my decks, though.
collections of cardboard.
Can we have a cardless deck?
No.
I mean, eventually, sure. At the beginning of the game, probably not.
How about
I mean-
a cardless problem deck?
Do you... Okay, so the discard pile doesn't count as a deck, right?
No, it is a
How
pile.
about...
Yeah, it's a pile.
Okay, how about the banish zone? Does that count as a pile or a
It's
deck?
a pile.
It's neither. It's a zone.
It's a pile of presents!
Okay, this could maybe be a thing. We'll see.
Anyway, we had the opportunity a few weeks ago to showcase a number of control decks. Different styles, different goals, and that's great. But I think it's safe to say that there is a much smaller percentage of the player community that actually enjoys playing control than those that actually enjoy playing a more aggressive style. Would you all agree?
Yeah.
Aggro will always be the most popular archetype. And I think that's great.
It is, so long as aggro can actually do aggro things. And there are a number of ways that you can do aggro. Of course, we've talked about aggro decks in the past before. Hot Wings proved to be very popular, and there are a number of decks that players have experimented with. But one color that has unfortunately kind of taken a back seat since the beginning of the game.
So it's
I was
Um,
about to say, you better say the beginning.
Yes.
No, that's not true.
No, it did well in the beginning. We had
That's-
Royal Guidance, right? We had Rainbow Dash Winds, both of which were featuring yellow. We also
No,
had Ballroom Blitz. Yeah,
And it worked well through, like, about the end of Canterlot Nights, and then it worked really, really well during Crystal Games, and then that got banned.
and then it kind of fell off the face of the earth.
I
Yellow
take
just
offense to this.
can't have nice things.
There were decks that
Okay,
ran.
it wasn't aggro, sure, but there was yellow.
You're saying that Aggro Dragon Express? No, I can't say that with a straight
No,
face.
he's talking about Hide, Faint, Repeat.
No, Zippo.
Oh, okay, sure. Zippo did come back, but that was definitely not aggro, right?
No.
And meanwhile, blue and pink and even white to some degree are getting all these tools.
I disagree that Zippo was yellow. Zippo was puppies.
Zippo was more
Exactly.
purple and white than it was
Puppies
yellow.
colored.
Anyway, Sequestria came out last year in, what was it, November?
Sure,
right
we'll
around
go
then?
with
Something
that.
like that.
Something
November,
right.
December, quarter four.
Shortly after the movie. It was definitely November then.
Sure. And turns out there were a few yellow aggro cards in there.
Really?
A couple. Or a couple. And so with that in mind, and in the interest of fairness, since we already had an entire deck discourse about control, this is deck discourse, yellow, is it me you're looking for? And we're going to highlight 3 separate aggro decks.
Oh, this man.
Oh, come on, that was a good pun.
You wouldn't let me have my stupid music pun.
I would not let you have your stupid music pun. You thought you could get
He's
that
a
by
music
me.
guy. He has
I-
high standards for music puns, and you didn't meet them.
I kept it as a musical pun, if that's worth anything.
No.
Nothing. It's not worth
No.
anything.
No.
Anyway.
Speaking of high standards, though,
Go on. Oh, are we talking about the deadline?
well, there's a little bit of that. I was actually going to talk more about the main of one of the first decks, that we were going to cover, but
Oh,
the deadline is also important.
I had no idea where you're going with high standards, but yeah.
Yeah, I was curious as well.
But yes, she does have
She's
some
a
quite high
pony
standards.
with high standards.
She does have high standards. This is very true. Before we get into these decks, a quick reminder for those of you who are watching, we have the Harmony Online Constructed Tournament, number 1. And the signups are, that is coming up this next week, and the signups are due tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific. If you need a little bit of extra time, we might be able to squeeze that in. Just shoot us a message. But this is a great chance to take a little bit of break from the core format, experiment with some older cards, old powerhouses, try some new tech, see what you can find.
Got a link to that in the chat.
Be
Or for the
prepared
signups.
for events. Lots of events.
There might be events.
Actually, I find it very ironic that we're like, let's talk about aggro, and then we're going, hey, by the way, here's this Harmony format where I hope you like
Aggro.
control.
I mean, if we're
Or
going
farm.
by, if we're going, yeah, I was going to say, if we're going by the 2 most recent cons, it's actually farm to be concerned about.
Eh.
Anyway, we can talk more about that later. Let's get back on track and take a look at the first of our aggro decks featuring yellow tonight.
Made by a pony with very high standards.
She does have very high standards. And good taste in friends. Final's a good man. This is
Not core legal though.
Not core legal. This is very true. This is Symphonic Swarm,
Which is core legal.
which is core legal. That's right. I believe all of these are core legal, yes?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, taking a cue from Fluttershy, Octavia has turned to the birds of Canterlot for assistance with her upcoming performance. And whether you're a fan of Tremendous Burst turns or not, you can't deny that there is some power in that decision. Octavia aggro has always been about efficiency. You want to spend the fewest AT in order to get the most power at problems and start DFOs with alarming frequency. Historically, the biggest issue she's faced is that if you don't have a character at a problem when a friend enters play there, then there's nothing for you to boost with Octavia's ability. Now, yellow thankfully solves his cards through 2 very impactful cards from Sequestra and beyond. Princess Celestia Dayshift and Critter Choir. Now, Dayshift, we've mentioned numerous times before, and I'm sure it won't be the last time you'll hear about her tonight. But
It's like she's a good card or something.
It's like she's the best card or something.
Hold
Octavia
on.
especially benefits from having a character at each problem after they've been replaced, though. For 1 AT with Rise and Shine, you can actually add 6 power to the table, potentially split up between characters at separate problems. That extra 2 to 4 AT of savings after every DFO really helps push the speed of this Octavia deck to match or exceed that of blue. Now, Critter Choir is the second standout card from Sequestra, and unfortunately has seen basically 0 play outside of Octavia lists. There's a good reason for it, though. 4 AT for a 2-power body is difficult to justify, even if you're getting a few tokens and your characters get a 2-power boost. With that boosted Octavia in the picture, however, you're generating an additional 6 power above that, given by the card alone. This means that with only a single character at a problem, 1 character at 1 problem, you could generate an additional 8 power at 1 problem and 10 power at the other just by playing this card. It is very hard to think of a situation, barring troublemakers, in which that wouldn't be enough power to both double confront and win the ensuing face-off.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of power. That's like
More than a little.
Muffin Mare levels of AT to power efficiency.
Yeah, it's not one small thing. That is several large things.
Now, of course, Octavia does suffer from that same nasty disease that so many main characters in core do, gotta confrontitis. Her flip condition is certainly one of her biggest liabilities. 100% of your game plan is based around using her boosted ability as often and efficiently as possible. While at the early onset of the meta there was discussion of pairing her and other confront to flip mains with Gummy in the hopes of confronting searching high and low on turn 1, the risk of opposing Skystar and Tempest decks makes that a poor decision overall.
Yeah, poor Skystar bullied a lot of mains out.
Yeah, she did. However, Octavia is not without backup options. Aloe, Rarity Generous Pony, and Stick give us 9 possible ways to confront on turn 2, whether it be on our opponent's trading traditions or our own under lock and tree. And against decks where you aren't fearing a troublemaker or possible DFO turn 1 or 2, feel free to run Concerning Cutie Mark and all but guarantee yourself that 2-power flip.
Mhm.
Now, the typical utility tools are present here. There's plenty of resource removal, troublemaker stealing and banishing, a few pieces of white hard removal to deal with the worst threats our opponents can throw against us. Make no mistake, though, this is not a control deck. You should be almost single-minded in your focus of going for DFO after DFO, or at least confronting with either of your point acceleration tools in Kratos and Bunyip as often as possible.
Bunyip.
Yep. Look for efficient plays whenever possible. Don't get hung up on mild irritations from the opponent, and give the other players a performance they will remember for weeks to come.
Yes. And do remember, sadly, Bunyip and Kratos do not combo.
Is very sad. If Bunyip gets frightened, it loses its traits.
Yes.
Now, there's a card here that we went back and forth on for a while over including, and I actually think it is proper to drop a Kratos and a Critter Choir in order to run 2 Furballs as well. And part of the reason for that is just because Celestia is so good and so essential at what Octavia wants. She wants a body at a problem always. And Celestia is great at doing that, of course, as are your token generations. But Furball gives you another option of doing this without having to spend an additional card in the process. With Furball in excess of your home limited home, you retire him, replacing that retire with frightening him to add a token into play, and then actually retire him.
Yep.
So it's sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Celestia is great and all, but your deck is full of low priority targets plus Celestia. So guess where all the removal is headed?
Yeah.
That Alicorn Horn is quite the lightning rod.
It's going right at her. Or if you can maybe swing it, Bunyip or a Kratos if you're just going after single confronts.
It's a darn shame this doesn't run Brian's. Oh, wait. It does.
It does, but you've only got 5 pieces of resource removal in here, and I say only, but that is kind of the point we're at right now in the meta.
Mm-hmm.
And Friends Are Always There is also very important to deal with opposing non-epic troublemakers. Overall, though, I think the key to making Octavia and other confront to flip mains work is making sure that you have as many ways as possible to flip that main on turn 2.
Yes.
Blue, of course, has plenty of ways of doing this. Octavia is also privy to several options. I think even Thorax has a few choices. I think he's just running Concerning Cutie Mark, though.
Yeah, you don't play Skystar Chicken unless you're Skystar.
Yeah,
By which I mean always play Skystar Chicken.
Only Skystar can play Skystar Chicken.
Everyone else should play Skystar Chicken too, because Skystar likes winning Skystar Chicken.
Everyone else is just losing at Skystar Chicken.
When you're the only one playing?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's I knew this guy who created a game called His Name Wins by Default, so he always won. You asked how the rules work, and he's like, well, I win by default.
Seems like a good game.
Yeah.
Any other comments that we want to make here? Maybe we can talk about the problem deck?
Yeah, problem deck's always worth talking about.
Go for it, Beagle. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here.
We're looking at low confront requirements for the most part. What is that? Equal or else, is I believe the lowest confront requirement for a 2 bonus problem in the game right now.
That's not equal or else though. That's Anxious Animals.
Oh, that's Anxious Animals. My mistake. Well, Anxious Animals is still good in this deck because you get free critters, which is lots of power. Which can give you tricks like I confront this. I move a character over here to your problem. I confront my problem. Make a critter over there. That's plus 3 power for nothing. Now it can DFO.
Yep.
Which is also a trick that your dilemma gives you.
Yes, Industrial Revolution is definitely an amazing card in this case. And of course, works very well with Celestia as well. In fact, all the dilemmas do.
Yes. Celestia likes dilemmas.
Celestia loves dilemmas. And being able to add...
in general.
I mean, she does.
And then she delegates other opponents to deal with them.
And
Exactly.
do remember, Celestia works with your opponent's dilemmas too. I've seen lots of people get caught off guard by that. They'll play a dilemma, and then the opponent will go, let me move this there. Like, why? Like, well, Celestia.
Yeah, that just happened to me with Aura recently. I
Yes,
forgot
it did.
about that.
It was really funny too.
It was pretty stupid.
But interestingly enough, the problem deck is mostly colorless because you have a mix of white and yellow, and you never know what's going to be at problems at any given time.
Right. Anxious Animals is great because it is a 2 bonus problem that also puts another body into play, but the yellow can be a liability, especially if you're relying on just basic token generation.
Right. Meanwhile, Unreasonable Demands is just good removal.
Yep. 6 is really the magic number with Octavia. With a single 1 power character entering play, that's a 2 bonus boost to her when she's on her boosted side. That puts her up to 6 power. Well, 5 power plus the 1. Right. There's your 6 to confront.
Yeah. The problem math works out here amazingly better than what Core did for Hot Wings.
For sure. Otherwise, that's basically it. And there's a little bit of removal here apart from the hard white removal. You've got the opals and the it's gonna works, of course. But you've also got some Fluttershies if you need temporary removal. And let's never forget, Stick can work in a pinch if you need to.
Yeah, though, with your low flip average, don't be surprised if sometimes you fail. There might be a few 1s or 2s in this deck.
Anyway, that's about all I've got to say on this. Yep. Bugle, you want to take the reins for this next one?
Yeah! This deck is going to be pretty unorthodox, but it features a card that people love ever since they saw them. This is problem hugging. Because you grab those problems and you do not let go. Let's see. So, hey, you know how when problems get replaced, all your characters go home? Isn't that annoying? What if you didn't have to worry about that? Well, with problem hugging, you don't. With 3 Flutterjacks, 2 Day Shifts, and Novo's ability with 2 Tempests to reset her as necessary, you'll find you basically have your entire your entire board at problems the entire game. The deck is built around Flutterjack treading water, as every single friend, aside from the good Captain Applejack herself, has a printed power of 2 or less. Though, funny thing, printed power, that number doesn't change, no matter how many +1 counters you pile onto a card. Delivery Crew, for example, fuels your friends with counters every single turn, making it easier for them to confront problems and win face-offs later, and in a pinch, you can use Bats to get a few counters as well, if you don't need its other moves. And of course, Double Diamond brings his own counters, and gains more with his handy Diligent 2. And while not power counters, Sea-Pony Duo can help you win most face-offs by not only letting us flip an extra card, but denying the opponent a flip. Also very important, printed power doesn't change even if a card is frightened. And hey, look at that! Bunyip, a card that frightens itself, and we had just talked about, is in this deck. And since you're not spending much AT on anything else, you might as well pay 2 AT to rally him for another point. Or you could even play Brayburn if you'd rather. Oh.
That's pretty hilarious.
That's
what? Playing
that
Brayburn?
The Brayburn value.
I always forget that Brayburn unfrightens.
Yeah, it's important. Did I mention Bats yet? Well, this fantastic song not only gives us power counters, but also happens to be resource removal, which, say it with me, everyone, is very important in core.
It's mandatory.
Mandatory.
How many
Or-
pieces are mandatory?
5 at this
yet.
point.
50.
Better
Yes.
yet, Fats has an even better mode, protection for our friends. Whether it's opponent's belly flops or nap cakes, or even your own Captain Jack, Bats will ensure you are able to confront that turn.
Yeah, one-sided board wipe.
Yes.
Uh,
Now,
Does not-
if you... Oh, what?
Does not protect against frightens, though.
No, does not protect against Frighten. But just about everything else. I guess not Limestone either. Now, of course, if you don't draw Treading Water or a Day Shift, you're probably honestly going to have a rough time as your friends aren't terribly power efficient on their own. You also have very little in the way of removal, aside from the fantastic Batajack combo. But Bailout and Brotherly Love help there. They'll only go so far, but they do help you out there.
By brotherly love, I'm assuming you mean tough love.
Tough Love. I'm sorry. I always call it the wrong thing.
That's okay. Just clarifying.
Yes. But assuming things go well, you'll be DFOing basically every turn for 0 AT, and that's a pretty good feeling.
I like DFOing for 0 AT. That's more
you-
efficient than Octavia.
Yeah.
You like playing Thunderlane?
I mean, I do like playing Thunderlane, but we're not talking about Thunderlane right now. Blue's had its
No
time in the
blue.
limelight.
No blue.
Blue is
Never
later.
Blue scares your stuff.
I love that you've been able to take this theme of I'm going to use small bodies and then also use all these other cards that are like, they're not actually as small as you think they are.
No.
What's the flip average here? Like 1?
No, it's higher than 1,
Yeah.
but it's
It's actually not too bad.
2.8, I think.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also bimodal.
Yeah.
It's heavily bimodal.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is actually, despite the fact that it's closest rounded to 3, there is not a single card that flips for 3 in this deck.
Yep.
You're flipping 1, 2, or 4, 5, or 6.
So that would beg the question of, would you ever consider running Spooky Ruins?
Maybe, but Sea Pony Duo kind of fits that role,
That's fair.
and sits at a problem forever.
It's a body, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Also, really fun. I do like using Tempest and then playing Celestia. The Raptor Razor, sorry.
Oh, that's gross.
I
Yeah,
mean-
that's some value for sure.
I mean, yeah.
It's Captain Jack for emergencies only, more or less. Though, if you have Bats and Captain Jack in your hand, there are
Yeah,
very few
feels
times where I
good.
wouldn't just drop that.
I mean, if your opponent has nothing in play. But...
Well, sure. If the opponent has a reasonable board, you can just go, I'll choose Captain Jack. Oh, look, everything else stuck around.
Yeah, the great thing you've got here is all of your entry is actually coming from friends as well.
Mm-hmm.
Although it does seem to be a little light. Am I only counting 6 pieces of entry?
And the trading traditions, which
Where's-
gives us
Oh, there's the trading traditions. Okay,
Where are
sure.
you getting
Which gets you
the
AJ
6?
Fluttershy and Bon Bon.
Brayburn. You're forgetting Brayburn.
I'm only counting 5.
Oh, there is only 5.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's two Applejacks.
So we're pumping the greed pedal pretty hard here.
It's pretty greedy.
Yeah, that's what you do with aggro and trading traditions. Because Bon Bon and Treading Water are 1 wreck. So you
Oh,
can
and
drop
that's
them.
calming 1 too. Ew.
Yeah.
I suppose that's fair. It's very unlikely you're going to have a hand where you can't play anything on turn 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's gross.
But yeah, speaking of Bon Bon, she's actually going to throw a wrench in the opponent's plans more often than you think.
Oh no, you
So-
slam her down at their problem, and that calming 1 is going to wreck their plans.
Yeah.
Turn 1,
Um,
but yeah.
Turn 1, so which can interfere with like Scootaloo. Like, I'm gonna play Loyal Pony and move. Oh, I only have 2 power.
Darn.
That's
Womp.
not 3.
That is not 3. And then next turn you're like, haha, I have my bailout. You will never
Yeah.
confront. Or even better, just DFO away the problem, because now they're confronting on your turn.
That seems
or
yeah,
single
SF
confront.
SFO,
yes.
yeah.
Or SFO, yeah.
Yeah.
that seems mean.
And if you're lucky, you played a treading water in the process, so 1/1 can just sit there again.
That's really dumb.
Or Celestia, either way.
I like this. This is fun.
This
Okay.
deck is actually really fun.
This is dumb.
Also, worth
good
pointing
kind of
out,
dumb.
Double Diamond does not need to use his own power counters. You can use the power counter from Philly Jack
Or from Delivery Crew.
or from Delivery
Does
Crew.
Diamond just really say remove a power counter?
From one of your
From a
friends
friend.
here.
Here.
One of your
yeah.
friends here?
Oh, sorry. Characters here.
Yeah,
Okay,
characters. Well, you're not going to put anything on Novo.
No. Because you don't have a way to do so.
Oh, though speaking of Novo, sometimes you're just going to have to flip her for very little value just to get 3 rec, and that's okay. Like, you can reset her. You do still move her, so it's not, like, awful. But sometimes you just have to do that.
That's fair.
It's like with Capper, sometimes you just flip him early.
So here's the big question I want to ask.
Sure.
Talk to us about this problem deck.
I like bonus points.
Are those all 2s and 3s except for Trading Tradition?
Except for Trading Tradition, yes.
Mobman.
I mean, if you like double confronting.
When your goal is to always have a million characters at both problems for the rest of the game, you don't care if your opponent starts a DFO if you think you're still going to win anyway.
That's a fair point. Really makes Sea Pony Duo very important.
Yeah.
So all that we were talking about removal magnets, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you shouldn't go swimming in lightning storms.
Nah, it's fine, I'm sure.
Neither of them have the horn, it's fine. There are actually very few horns in this deck. I think just Celestia's and Horn Bunyip.
I was going to say, there's a few horns there.
There's a changeling that has something to say.
That doesn't count, and you know it.
You know who doesn't have a horn?
Tempest.
Tempest.
Hashtag
Wow.
wrecked. I like how we all went there. Except for Aura.
Wow.
Anyway,
A bunch of insensitive jerks here.
This is a bit of a one-trick pony, but that one trick can get you very far.
That's fair. Well, thank you, Beagle. That's a fun deck. Aura,
Shenanigans.
as we move into our last deck, I think there's a question you want to ask everybody.
Yeah, so what time is it?
Chat, what time is it?
What time is it?
Adventure time?
No. Also no. It's not time for ponies. Grandpa's, what time is it?
Is high noon.
Thank you.
It's also time to be awesome.
Yeah.
But mostly it's high noon. He's way better at it than I am. I'm just good at hissing.
You are pretty good at hissing. So, this is a deck. And what is a deck? But a miserable pile of
Miserable
cards.
Dang it.
You've been on that meme all week.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
Hey, look, it's Celestia again.
That wasn't me. Yeah, look, it's Celestia again. A lot.
There are a lot more.
Oh,
Are there?
There are, in fact, a lot more. There's
Yeah,
Celestia,
that's
and
fair.
then there's
There's another
Twilight, and there's
Celestia.
Twilight, and Trixie, and Twilight, and Rarity.
and there's a bunch of changelings. Trader changelings.
So let's take a look and analyze what's going on here. Okay.
All right, so ready? All right, everyone, crawl under the bus. We good under the bus? Okay.
All right. This is a meme deck. Kind of.
I couldn't tell.
But at the same time, there's actually some good things going on here. Apart from the fact that you get to ask your opponent the question, do you know what time it is, before you slam your power card on the table, which is clearly what you must do before you slam your power card on the table.
If you're playing a 3-color card, you need to ask this question in this deck.
Basically. You do have plenty of good synergies with main 6, despite the fact that this is not running party hard, because you've got 3 Sorens and 2 Discords, both of which are great ways of retiring friends.
Eating
Yup.
everything?
All of the things.
Eat many things.
They'll both help you DFO in different ways, too.
Gabby's going to keep your hands full. BPOS can steal instant threats. Nightglider's there for your point acceleration. And as you sit there and look at all those cards and say, man, those 3-color things are going to be hard to meet. Well, not really. Klujetown Citizens is going to help you out.
The more I look at this, the more I just have to laugh.
You can discard a Celestia to enable both your other colors.
Now, at its core, this is still an aggro deck. You're still trying to confront problems as efficiently as you can. Though we're going a very different route from what we saw with the other ones, where Octavia is looking to play cards to get tremendous power, and Problem Hugging is looking to keep those cards on the field as long as possible. This deck is looking at big, threatening individual cards.
Yeah.
And then throwing a Nightglider up there for good measure.
Though for some definition of big. Like
Nightglider gets big.
Yeah.
Soren gets big. Celestia is pretty big.
Soren looks small, but is secretly very big.
Celestia.
Something hard of a lion.
Too much cake.
Much cake.
Very big.
I see what you did there. Changeling Citizens can also get quite large, especially if you put it into play or have it in play when Friendship Festival setup gets replaced. And you're like, oh, thanks for the extra 5 power. That seems nice.
And of course, it's color fixing.
It is. For both colors. All of the color fixing is for both colors.
Now, at its base, is this going to be as reliable as either of the previous decks we talked about?
Well,
Needs Torch Song.
I don't think so.
But no.
Tricolor is hard.
Tricolor is hard.
Tricolor.
Go for it, Ara.
A tricolor is not hard. Bugle basically just runs it as a default now.
I think Bugle runs like 5 color as a default now.
Okay, that's true. But everyone and their dog is basically.
Do not use me as an example.
What? No,
I'm clearly mentally challenged here. Like, plus Hithrock beat me.
Well, either that or you're like looking like a year down the road when you're just, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh man, it was right all along."
When the new meta is quad color.
Yeah, new meta quad color.
But I do firmly believe Sinking Barrel is like the strongest card in core right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
With all the non-friend based color fixing, especially if you're messing around with Singing Barrel, it's just like, oh, whatever, I'll just splash into a 3rd color. Who cares?
Remember when you had to play a friend of a certain color to even get that color?
Yeah.
No.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
You didn't. That's not true though. 'Cause
We had
the
the
fixers.
fixers.
Yeah, but you still had to play
have
friends
a
sometimes.
friend of a color.
No, I remember. I remember back in my day, I had to play one of the +2 power fixers and then get one of the other things that would give you power until the end of the turn to confront with Luna so she could be alone. Because Luna doesn't like other ponies.
Oh,
that
fun.
deck was great.
It was a
Now,
terrible deck.
there's something interesting to note here. We've seen Celestia in all 3 of these decks. Day
Also,
Shift,
Brian.
specifically. Yes, also Brian in all of these decks.
Because
Like-
Day Shift is amazing.
Keeping your stuff on
Free
the board
movement.
is important.
Yes, but she's being used for different reasons in all 3 of the decks, right? In the first deck, it's because you really just need one body at each problem, and then that thing just gets explosively large.
Yeah, Octavia wants anything out of problem.
0 power. That's good enough.
It's
Yes.
honestly still fine. You've got a body there. You're not running anything with 0 power, but if you had to, you could.
Well, okay, a not
Or a cell.
frightened thing. Frightened things don't work.
Yeah.
Right. Problem hugging obviously likes keeping everything at problems because that's what it bases a lot of its efficiency on.
Yeah.
As the game goes along, if the opponent doesn't have removal for every single one of those sticky friends, things are just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah.
In here, it's kind of the opposite. Instead of just having any body and you don't care what it is, there are such large bodies, or the potential to be large bodies, that are present in this deck that only having them one at a problem can be almost enough to confront that problem solo.
Yup.
Citizens can get huge. Klugetown, if you have to, can get huge. Main 6 is big. Soren can get huge. Celestia is big, but she can also move for 1 AT on her own.
Yeah, so probably have better choices.
In a shocking turn of events, Celestia got off the throne and is doing things.
Gasp.
For the first
She's mostly
time ever.
delegating.
Oh.
She's delegating herself.
Pinky and Twilight are also a good choice with day shift, because Centric 2 does matter.
Yes, it does.
Is it an eccentric 3? Or is it just eccentric
No.
two?
No, that is eccentric too.
Cost
That
3,
is-
power 3, Centric 2.
That is
those
one of the-
Zakoros that are eccentric 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lovely pieces of just yes in Burb.
You know, those Zakoras that you got 3 of in that limited deck.
That was
Ugh.
amazing.
It was stupid.
Stupid.
But yeah,
You're
this deck
stupid.
is more just an excuse to use High Noon, but it's a glorious excuse to use High Noon.
I mean, it is high noon. I'm sorry. Grandpa's, would you please do it correctly?
Is high noon.
What was that?
That was much closer to the
That's how he
actual
actually says it.
Overwatch character.
The over the top.
I've been
is
lied
different.
to. I've been lied to my whole life.
Sit here and go, awesome.
Mm,
It's
Yeah,
time
little
to
known
be so
fact.
awesome.
Shortly after our cat was born, a time traveler from the future, explained to him the High Noon meme, and he's like, "This will be relevant sometime in the future."
His whole life.
His whole life.
His whole life.
That time traveler was me.
And then you know what I did?
You thought
Started
it was
hissing.
a foreign time traveler, but it was me, Dio.
Oh my!
Was that a JoJo reference?
That is in
It might
fact a
have been.
JoJo reference. Oh my god! I'm done. I am so done with you.
I'm out memeing you today. Anyway, chat. All of these decks are a great example of some of the creative things that you can do with yellow in an aggressive strategy. There's a few things that we've seen in competitive play as well that we haven't really touched on in this stream. Maybe some of you would be willing to share your experiences trying to play yellow as an aggressive color.
I know one popular archetype.
Last time I tried to play yellow aggressively was back in CN, before I switched over to diamonds.
Diamonds was fun.
It was.
Diamonds was
Blitz
shenanigans.
Ballroom Blitz was a ton of fun, to be fair, though.
My favorite part about diamonds, which was a blue, what was it, blue white?
Blue-white.
Yeah,
Blue-white.
deck, was it began the series of, I think, like 3 times in a row that
Basically, that same deck took BronyCon.
well, yeah, where why am I blanking on his name right now?
You
Carrie,
know what though?
where Carrie and I ran the exact same deck, like plus or minus 2 cards 3 years in a row.
Not yellow though.
Did you commiserate to do this together?
No, it like we just showed up, and it's like, oh, hey, I see you two are running the best deck, and then we,
The best aggro deck.
I think
To be
the
fair.
first 2 times we both were top 2.
Seems good. And then you switched over and you ran nothing but Pile for 2 years.
Pile.
Well, yeah, he also ran Pile.
Because it's the best deck,
Yeah,
right?
it was the best deck.
Oh my I think more accurately, it was the best legal deck in that format because you totally would have run some horrible combo if you.
It was the combo-iest
What do you
thing.
call pile?
It was the closest. It wasn't one turn kill, but it didn't need to be. And sometimes it was one turn kill.
Yeah, if you had a bajillion AT.
Yeah. If the hooves thing just worked for you.
Yeah, but you know what though? Those aren't yellow.
You're right, they're not yellow.
Hey,
I remember having to tech like the strangest cards against you just to try to throw you off every time we played regionals. Jeez. Anyway, we should focus here on the yellow discussion. It doesn't look like we have any comments from chat.
No,
But
but I do know that a lot of people enjoy blue yellow right now.
Mhm.
Either Scootaloo or Thorax. Thor. Axe.
There we go.
Thor, God of Thunder, and his axe.
I'm watching you. Thor's axe is basically still hiss-worthy though, because it's
I mean, he has a hammer.
non-canonical.
It's not an axe.
He has a hammer, correct. So, therefore,
Sure. The biggest
Uh,
issue, of course, that you run into with yellow is, as a primary color, its main selection in core is somewhat weaker than other aggro colors.
Yeah, nurturing nature is the best, and it's great, but you have this whole Skystar Tempest problem.
Yep. The gotta confrontitis.
as much as I am loath to say this, hugging problems does actually work fairly well with the Traitor to the Hive, because if you get a Celestia out, now you have a 9-something power Thorax sitting at the problem.
Sure, this is true, but you have to change the deck considerably at that point, because it's not built around needing to confront to flip your main, and you would have to
True.
change the deck a lot.
This is true.
Probably not run Trading Traditions, for example.
Yeah, the other thing you have to keep in mind when running yellow is that your options for removal of friends are going to be very limited. Your options for removal of resource and troublemakers are basically unlimited. You'll sit there and look at all these cards and be like, why can't I hold all this non-friend removal? And then you'll see like one irritating thing on the other side of the table and be like, well,
It's a friend.
it's a friend.
I can put that loyal pony back in your hand.
Man, such value.
That's a darn shame. They're gonna go ahead and let me move something again next turn.
Yeah.
Yep. And for that reason, yellow typically falls behind as a main color compared to blue or pink, which both have more reliable forms of immediate speed removal. Pink, obviously, with dismissal, and blue with frighten.
I don't know. I still think pink is a better pair here, just because so often with blue I'm sitting there going, I really want that gone, but I can't make it go away. All I can do is scare it for a bit.
Yeah, pink or blue yellow looks at Rescue Party and goes, "What do I do? What do I
What's wrong
do?"
here? The answer to that is curl up in the corner and cry. So pink, I like pink better. I'm gonna be honest.
The answer to that is, I hope I'm running Tough Love.
Right, yeah.
And that's it,
I mean, you could run Lilo.
I suppose. I mean, there is one other option for yellow that hasn't been explored in quite some time, and that is not aggro, but it's bedtime.
Yeah, bedtime.
See,
Everyone always
You
talks
say it-
about bedtime, but then I very rarely see it run.
That's because, very much like Pile, it depends entirely on one card of which everyone is packing removal for.
that is its major problem. Although I'm sitting here going, what do you mean you don't see it? One of my locals has the thing constantly. It's annoying to fight against.
Yes, it is. And we keep getting more and more soft bounce, so...
We need more
Anyway.
bedtime effects.
No, do not want. Do not want.
Do we
Please
have
no.
any other comments we'd like to make on yellow as an aggro color before we wrap things up for this evening?
Yellow, no longer yellow.
YOLO?
Yellow, no longer YOLO.
Yeah, yellow is making a comeback. It is actually truly making a comeback. do expect to see yellow. Like Celestia, Brian, some of the multicolor friends. Yellow is very powerful.
Immediate speed resource removal. Bewitch Beavers.
Yeah.
Forget your staff, AJ.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that is about going to wrap up our discussion on this topic for today. We would, of course, like to give a big shout out to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your regular support. And if you aren't currently a patron but you enjoy what we do, please consider donating. Doing so will give you some awesome rewards like the ability to vote on polls to determine what future videos we produce, a chance to share your own deck creations to be reviewed live, and even the ability to challenge members of Sim or other patrons to feature duels using some wacky rules. If you have comments or questions you'd like to send our way, or if you're just interested in hearing about what we're working on for the future, there are many ways you can stay in contact. We have our Patreon, as mentioned previously, but we also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/commentaryismagic. We're on Twitter at CIM_CCG. You can email us at commentaryismagicteam@gmail.com. And patrons at or above the $5 per month level get access to our Slack channel, where you can chat live with us any day, anytime. Someone's going to be awake.
I don't remember when I was awake last night, but it was definitely light out, which meant it was time to go to bed.
If you are looking to watch any of our previous videos, including tournament recordings, you can find them on our YouTube channel, which is linked in the sidebar, and make sure to subscribe so we can have a channel URL that makes a little bit of sense. With all that said, thank you to each and every one of our viewers, both here now and watching this recording later. We are, as always, Commentary is Magic, and I am, as always, Grandpaws.
I'm in review.
Big cheese.
And obligatory hissing at our cat.
We'll see you all next week for our stream. In the meantime, don't forget to sign up for Heiko #1.
You got
Only
what?
got
15 minutes? No, an hour.
No,
15.
an hour.
an hour and 15,
You might be able to push it a little bit longer if they need to.
give or take.
Good luck, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.